Look at that smile. Alina Habba has just been disqualified by Chief Judge Mathew Brann of the Middle District of Pennsylvania, sitting by designation in New Jersey. She is no longer, according to Judge Brann, and that matters, she is no longer the acting interim U.S. Attorney, Special Attorney, acting as the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, because he just disqualified her in response to a motion brought by two criminal defendants in a drug case who said, who is this person? She wasn't confirmed by the Senate. She wasn't appointed on an extended term by all the judges of New Jersey federal court. Who is she? Masquerading as the U.S. Attorney. Why can she indict me? How can she indict me? How can she prosecute me? Why is she in the courtroom? All very good questions. And Mathew and then Judge Brann, who was appointed by the Third Circuit chief judge after all 21 judges of New Jersey voted against Alina Habba and extending her 120-day term, he had no choice but to throw it outside to the Middle District of Pennsylvania. This guy pulled the short straw, but boy, did he come through with a 77-page decision. Donald Trump's all worried. It's going to be a constitutional crisis created by these judges. No, it's a constitutional crisis created by you, Donald Trump, because you keep trying to circumvent checks and balance and the confirmation, the sacred confirmation process that only the Senate can give you. And you're trying to shove down our throat all of these unqualified political hacks to undermine the rule of law and sully the name of the Department of Justice. I mean, that's already in the shitter with Pam Bondi being the head of the Department of Justice. But finally, a judge stood up and said, enough, no. I'm Michael Popok. I say yes. And I'm here on Legal AF. Let's talk about what just happened. A lot of news today. I did a whole report earlier this morning, another breaking news story about what judges did in New York or didn't do about a $500 million civil fraud case against Donald Trump. And now Alina Habba gets disqualified. Oh, I love it. I'm here for it. So are you. Okay. About, a month and a half ago, after Alina Habba took the job, whatever the job was, the defendants in a criminal case said, who is she? Why is she? How is she here? She should be disqualified. Now, Alina Habba was originally nominated by Donald Trump to be the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. We can all agree to that. Alina Habba was not confirmed by the United States Senate because she never got into the confirmation process because the two Democratic senators from New Jersey, Kim and Cory Booker, did not give their blue slip approval of her. Okay. So Donald Trump's on the clock with 120 days. He knows Alina Habba's not going to get in. And what the statutes and the Constitution says about that is that if this person can't get in, you got to go back to the well and pick another nominee. And so that we have a U.S. attorney in the interim, the judges of the district pick who the U.S. attorney is going to be in the interim until the president gets around to getting a nominee successfully through the confirmation process. It's quite simple. President gets one pick at a time. If that pick fails, doesn't get nominated, and the judges of that circuit or that district don't extend the time beyond the 120-day clock, then there's a vacancy which can only be filled by judges while the president goes back to the drawing board, appoints somebody new, confirmation process, and we're up and running. That's how it works. And if your nominee is good enough and honorable enough and not a complete DB, as we like to say around town, like Alina Habba, where she spent her time trying out for the job. Hey, everybody, I want to be the U.S. attorney. Let me turn the blue state of New Jersey red. How about that? I'm going to go after the governor. I'm going to open a criminal probe of the governor, which she never did. I'm going to open a criminal probe of the Attorney General of New Jersey, Matt Blackkin, which she never did. I'm going to go after the mayor of Newark, Mayor Baraka, a rival of Donald Trump, which she did. I'm going to go after a representative, a congresswoman, LaMonica McIver, which she did. You won't make me the U.S. attorney? Why not? If you do play in the sandbox well and you color within the lines, then the federal judges will go, well, she'll get convicted. She'll get confirmed. I almost said convicted. That's also possible. She'll get confirmed eventually. We'll give her an extension of time, another 120 days. We just saw something like that happen in New York, in the Southern District of New York, where the judges there, very fine judges, I've appeared in front of them a lot, where they said about Jay Clayton, the nomination by Donald Trump that hasn't yet been taken up by the Senate, you're good. You were once in the U.S. Attorney's Office. You were once the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC Commissioner, Chairman. Yeah, we'll extend your time. See, judges will extend their time. So to hear Donald Trump tell it, oh, the judges are creating a constitutional crisis. No, you are. You are. And now finally, Judge Brann, Chief Judge of the Middle District of Pennsylvania, has said enough. So after the judges said no to Alina Habba, and they appointed Desiree Grace, who was the deputy, the number one deputy in that office, career prosecutor, unassailable credentials. She had the job for less than 24 hours. Donald Trump then fired her like 3 times. He had 3 different emails go to her. You're fired, you're definitely fired, and now you're really fired. And then he said, I'm going to slide Alina Habba in as her own deputy and then take an elevator up to be the U.S. attorney, her own boss, and her own deputy. Like, what? Well, he did the exact same thing with John Sarcone in the Northern District of New York. So this will be new precedent we can use to get rid of Sarcone too, who's currently going after the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James. Let's leave that aside for a minute. There's many acting interim special attorney appointed U.S. attorneys out there for Donald Trump. And they're all now could be challenged under this new ruling by Judge Brann, where he said she is unconstitutional, she is illegal, she can no longer serve in the office of U.S. attorney. So after the judges did their thing and Donald Trump did his thing, Jen Pam Bondi steps in. I'll make her a special attorney. Where's that from? The Constitution says that the attorney general or the head of departments can appoint lesser officers under them. And there's a reference to a special attorney. We usually have seen that as a special prosecutor, special counsel. But she said, no, I'm going to make her the special attorney with all of the powers of a U.S. attorney. And the judges were like, what? You're gonna create a phony U.S. attorney? The special attorney cloaked with the powers of a U.S. attorney? You can't do that under the statute. And when they were challenged under the Federal Vacancy Act about how are you filling this vacancy with a special attorney, they said, well, she's not really a special attorney. This is in filings. They said she's almost a special attorney. She's almost a U.S. attorney. She's close, but not exactly a U.S. attorney. So they lie. They tell the American people one thing. You know, Alina Habba goes on all of her social media platforms. I am the acting U.S. attorney in New Jersey. No, you're not, because even your own Department of Justice lawyer said you weren't. So that happened. And the judge is like, can I just go through this whole scenario? It's not that difficult, even though he did it in 77 pages. Firstly, here's his findings. She is disqualified, not just from these 2 prosecutions and working on these 2 prosecutions. Although he's not dismissing the indictment for the one guy. The guy was like, yeah, I got rid of her, but not your indictment. But she is disqualified in all cases in the District of New Jersey from operating as the U.S. attorney. It's a big deal. Now, what could happen next? What will and what could happen next? Somebody's taking an appeal named Donald Trump. Alina Habba is going to take an appeal. Department of Justice is going to take an appeal to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Hold on to this point now. Third Circuit Court of Appeals to get a reversal of that decision because it's terrible for them. Right now, I don't even know who is the acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey. You know, they got cases. This is one of the largest U.S. attorney's office. I think it's the 5th largest in the country. You know, and they're jerking around here like this. And the judge says this is a violation of separation of powers also. So what they'll do is they'll take the appeal to the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Who's on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals? One of Donald Trump's other criminal defense lawyers, former criminal defense lawyers, Emil Bove. Remember, they all came in together. Alina Habba, Pam Bondi, impeachment lawyer, Todd Blanche, criminal defense lawyer, John Sauer, now Solicitor General, you know, his appellate criminal defense lawyer, Emil Bove. He's now on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. He got confirmed. He got sworn in. So he could get randomly assigned to this Alina Habba case. Now, any ethical lawyer, and he just went through a whole judicial confirmation process where he says, I'm very ethical, I'm humble, I'm just a small town boy, I don't know how I got here, you know, all this other Matlock bullshit. You know, he'll need to recuse himself. Will he? Who knows? If I see him on the panel, I move to disqualify that guy. If I'm well, that's a good question. Who's on the other side of this? Well, it's going to be the defendants here. It's going to be the criminal defendants for the drug case that are going to be bringing this case. And I'd move to disqualify Emil Bove because he's the criminal defense lawyer for Donald Trump. He's the MAGA guy for the Department of Justice. And he's friends with Alina Habba and worked together with her on cases. How could he possibly sit independently and render verdict against her? It's impossible. But you know them. Clarence Thomas never saw a conflict that he didn't look past. So we'll continue to follow it all right now. But the headline is Alina Habba disqualified by federal judge, and it matters, Judge Brann, to serve as the U.S. attorney, acting U.S. attorney in New Jersey as Donald Trump loses his mind. I'll do the report on the loses his mind next, and attacks this judge who he's probably never heard of, who's moderate, who sits in the Middle District of Pennsylvania, of all places, is not a leftist, is not a right-winger, and hasn't caused this constitutional crisis. Trump has. Till my next report, I'm Michael Popok. Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.